Where is God in a coronavirus world? You know, as I film this video here in the UK, we're under lockdown, as many countries in the world are, and struggling to cope with a pandemic that's causing chaos and destruction. And many people are asking all kinds of questions. And a question that often arises is where is God in the midst of all this? And you know, the way I want to begin thinking about that question is, it struck me as the virus has unfolded and as we've experienced living under lockdown conditions. One of the things I find fascinating is that coronavirus raises all kinds of religious and spiritual questions.
Well, the question they should all be asking is, why did God make us all vulnerable? Naturally, they would tell any of us atheists that God didn't make us this way. We are fallen because Adam and Eve disobeyed God. The problem there is, why are they asking religious and spiritual questions if they really believe this? As for us being fallen because of Adam and Eve, even if so, did Adam and Eve decide, oh, we want people to be this and that because we offended God? No, right? Which would mean God did make us capable of being sick.
Expose a number of things. One of the first things I think that coronavirus has exposed is that science can't answer everything. You know, we've addressed that question in other short answer videos, but you know, we live in an age that's encouraged us to think that science can answer everything. In terms of dealing with the virus, you hear people.
Who claimed science could answer everything? Why is science bullshit if it's not perfect? Are you perfect? No? Then who are you to reject science? Who are you to favor religion and push it if you aren't perfect? Sure, Christianity can answer all questions, but are those answers right? Why do you accept those answers and want them all to be reality?
We're saying we just need to follow the science. But in recent days and weeks, it's emerged, of course, that actually, which science are we talking about? There are scientists with equally long lists of credentials to their names who disagree profoundly about the best way to deal with this virus.
What credentials do any church leaders have? Do all of them agree with each other? Why are there divisions if every religious person in the world mutually agrees? Why are all scientists obligated to mutually agree for you to accept science? What credentials do you have to speak about either science or religion?
I think governments are discovering that actually the response that is required by leadership, yes, it needs to be informed by the science, but actually politics is what's needed. And politics and science are not the same thing. And I think coronavirus has exposed that actually science is really helpful.
Are politics and religion relative? Christianity has lots to do with society, obviously. But what does religion have to do with economics and the environment? Is Christianity's influence on society healthy and moral? How does religion structure society properly?
How does religion structure society properly?
In certain areas, but it can't actually help us make big decisions about how we structure societies given what we're facing. So that's the first thing. I think the coronavirus has also revealed that many of us have put our trust in things that are profoundly fallible. You know, for many of us, particularly in the Western world, we had our very nice lives set up. You know, we had our job and we had our standard of living, and we had the sports that we were into, we had our community of friends. For Christians, we had our churches. Everything was structured and nice and ordered, and life was wonderful.
How is God infallible in dealing with human health? Would anybody need to work or achieve a good standard of living if God made us immortal and invulnerable? What does Christianity even have to do with health and jobs? Only Christianity can establish a functional community? How do Christian communities behave, typically, by the way? Are those people always open-minded and rational? What do communities have to do with pandemics, though?
Wonderful. And along came this pandemic and has swept all of those things away. And
How is Christian life wonderful if there are so many Christians preaching against minorities, evangelizing open air with bigotry and rebellion against sin? What about now, with the protesting against and bullying those who wear a mask, along with the vaccine mandates? Where is God with his wisdom and infallible answers?
think for many people, it's exposed that actually maybe the things we were placing our hope and our certainty and our confidence in are not actually what they were cracked up to be. I was reading an essay by an atheist journalist called Douglas Murray in a magazine the other day, talking about this and saying that actually the one question that our society has avoided for so long has been the question of purpose. And the coronavirus has forced us to ask the question of what is human life really, really about? And for some people, that's a very uncomfortable question. The third thing I think coronavirus has revealed that I find fascinating is it's revealed also how instinctively Christian many of our societies are. I mean,
If a pandemic serves such a purpose, why would God deliver something deadly to serve such a purpose? How can the virus be such a divine purpose as many have died as a result? The other important question is, why do you approve of this virus and God using it, and God for using it for such a purpose? Fucking sick. This means we don't have free will either, because God has intervened and caused deaths. Those people no longer have free will. Regardless, what is our divine purpose, and why do you want such a purpose?
think about coronavirus and what it's doing purely in atheistic and naturalistic terms, you could argue that here we have, Darwinianism revealed in all of its glory, because along has come this virus, and what's it doing? It's primarily predating on the weak, the poor, the elderly, those who simply don't measure up biologically. It's thinning out the weak. We see survival of the fittest in all of its glory.
Well, you criticize those atheists of such a perception, yet you've just explained that you believe the coronavirus is God's way of showing us our purpose. So how the fuck is your idea any better? My perception is that the virus is a demonstration of how irresponsible people are, how unstable the economy is, and how untrustworthy the U.S. government is. What do you think of that?
But isn't it interesting that we're not responding that way? No government minister, no matter how atheistic they are, has come out and gone, let's just let the virus kill as many old people as possible because society will get stronger. We all instinctively know that's not the right approach, and so most societies have crashed their economies in order to protect the weak and the vulnerable and the elderly. Fascinating. That's a profoundly Christian response, not a profoundly atheistic response.
Would any of that have been necessary if God made us immortal and invulnerable? Would we even need an economy or a purpose if God made us without needs? Why do you not see God from that angle? Never mind the virus.
And then lastly, I think the other thing that I think the coronavirus has exposed is that many of us are simply not used to thinking about our mortality. We've kidded ourselves into the fact that, we're going to live forever and nothing can touch us. Look at us, aren't we clever with all the science and technology?
Our mortality and our knowledge that we can't escape that reality is why people submit to God. Then again, on the flip side, you Christians tend to use our flaws as an argument to claim God's existence.
We have. And suddenly along comes a pandemic and it reveals that we are mortal, and we need to think about some of those big questions that we've possibly been avoiding. And what's interesting, as people have thought about those questions, when you pursue them, they don't take you away from God, they actually take you towards God. A secular magazine here in the UK.
Only if you were cowardly of reality and tried to mask it with mysticism, a mask that causes you to try converting everybody else to this morbid, bigoted, and violent religion. Those whom the church haven't already claimed yet, of course.
The New Statesman ran an article just a few days before I'm recording this video called How Coronavirus is Leading to a Religious Revival. And it picked up on the fact that more people are listening to religious content. Certain churches that are streaming services are finding numbers going through the roof. Some of the apps you can get on your phone to read things like...
So, you believe the purpose of COVID is to get people back into church? Wouldn't the religion be able to stand on its own if it was legitimate and true? If COVID has convinced people to become born again, that only means they don't care about the many lives lost as you claim here that God used the virus?
The Bible have seen a huge spike in downloads as I think people are beginning to ask tough questions. And so, yeah, for Christians, there is a question of where is God in the midst of all this? But the Bible has always been very honest that we live in a world that is broken, a world where there is suffering, but that actually...
Why do you want the world to be broken and fallen? Even if Christianity is the truth, how is that a valid reason to have faith?